many things that you do. One, I was looking into you and was like, what is Theo known for? What can we dig into? And I saw T3 stack as a thing. I see.
Never heard of it.
What are the origins of that? Is it still something that you're paying attention to, investing in?
Of course.
All of that?
It's an interesting history. So when I was getting like really into application development when I was in college, that was the peak of the like mean stack, MERN stack era. And it was nice to have this set of technologies that admittedly don't perfectly plug together, but there are resources in an ecosystem around how to do that plugging. And it gives you a confident starting point to like build a real full application. Before then, you needed like an all-in-one framework like Rails, or you would just make everything fully separate or just deal with whatever was going on in the .NET world at the time. And mean stack and MERN stack taught me this idea that you can have a composable stack. And then I went and got a job at Twitch working in their stack for about 5 years. And then I left, joined a startup, built my own stack, left, made my own startup. I kept adjusting the stack, adding and removing things with the goal of making it simple and composable, and ended up settling on this set of technologies. Next.js was obviously like the core of it, but at the time, Next was really heavy on the Pages router. They had no other router yet, and there were so many things that I would say are wrong about Pages router. I was actually just arguing with the guy who made it earlier today. It wasn't just like bad in the like, oh, it's unorganized sense. It's fundamentally missing almost everything you need to do data correctly in a React application. And I just got so frustrated with it that I was looking for solutions to fix those parts, and eventually settled on one named tRPC, which is the TypeScript RPC that lets you write backend code that is just a TypeScript function, and then call that code on the front end just with a TypeScript function, and it infers the types from back to front. And it was a really good experience. It was obnoxious to set up properly, but actually using it was great. So I brought that in. I was really hesitant about Tailwind initially, but I ended up liking it. Brought that in. Prisma was a solid ORM, so I brought that in. We needed auth, so I added next auth. And I realized, oh, I've piecemealed my own modular stack here. Any one part could be swapped for another solution, or if you don't need any one part, you can just not include it at all. But this is a lot of different technologies that combine together well. I proposed this to a friend in a Twitter space that thought it sounded cool, but just didn't see how like good it could be. He had an open source project that was a giant Firebase mess. And I rewrote the whole thing in 2 hours using my stack. It was 1/5 the code. It was a faster app. And he realized like, oh, this is so cool. Like, why is nobody else doing this? More people wanted to hear about it and see it. So I went live on Twitch for the first time in a while and just streamed myself building with this stack. Posted it on YouTube because I wanted to better understand YouTube, so I was building tools for creators. Video did pretty well. Then Dan Abramov was offering to do mock job interviews. I'm a big nut about interview culture and like how to do like hiring well. So I offered to have him on to do that. He did it. And of the like 4 or 5 mock job interviews he did, a lot of them were really good, but I to be a little arrogant for a second, mine was the best because all the others weren't people who have done hiring for years, and I've done like 500 plus interviews. So I think I did a really good job highlighting his talents and showing what an interview of someone like him looked like. That video went viral almost immediately, but then it brought up the T3 stack demo, which slowly became one of the most popular videos in dev, which is still weird to me because it was me just dicking around on stream, like showing people this tech that I liked. And it got like retconned into a tutorial of this stack that people were really hyped on. I was pumped that it went as well as it did. The missing piece is that I never built the like starting point, because the point is that it's modular. You start with the next step and you add and remove the parts that you need. Everyone's asking me for a template, and I was like, no, if I give you a template, you're going to make your blog with Prisma and Nextauth. You don't need these things for these problems.
Isn't that what being a developer is? Over-applying the tools that you...
If there's anything that I want my impact to have on this industry, it is a reset going as far back as possible to simple as best. Simple scales incredibly well.
Preach.
And I pushed this so hard, and that was like the goal of the stack. And if I made a template, I would be running against that specific goal. I did say that if somebody wanted to make like a CLI where you pick the tech that you do and don't need, I would support it, but I'm not going to make that. And a 16-year-old kid from India named Nexel did, and it was awesome. He started Create T3 app. I tried it when I was working on a project when I was at a conference. Like, wait, this solves almost all of the problems that people were asking about with this, and I'm going to start my apps using this now. A couple other contributors started getting more and more involved, and now it's the third or fourth most popular way to start a React app, which is nuts. I still can't believe it got as big as it did. It outpaces Remix somewhat regularly still. So,
And the T3, just to make sure I'm clear, stands for TRPC, TypeScript, which we'll go into TypeScript because Nick is a TypeScript, how would you describe it? Aficionado. And then Tailwind, was that the last?
no, it's the 3 letters after the T in my name. It always has been. It's been retcons to be Tailwind TypeScript TRPC, but it never was. It was called T3 Stack before I was even using Tailwind. I've owned the T3.gg domain for 10 years, and I've used that as like my main domain. It was the Theo stack. That was the point. And it just, people now treat it like it is this like specific set of technology. But like if I had named after the tech, then Prisma would have been the name. I don't even use Prisma anymore. Not that it's bad, but like Drizzle fits my needs and expectations slightly better than Prisma does. And TRPC, I still end up using it in half my projects. I'm not going to pretend otherwise, but like with server components and app router, I find my need for TRPC to be less, and I'm not using it for all of my data fetching. I'm using it for client-heavy data interaction stuff now. So that's like the goal of this hack was to be modular in that way, where you can swap different parts out. Also, I don't use Nextauth much anymore. I lean towards Clerk because I don't want to deal with the deployment and maintenance of an auth service. I just want to have my auth work. It's been interesting that like the T3 stack by design, by being modular, has let me drift from the original T3 stack as far as I have, while still having it be that way. But on the other hand, since it's been retconned to mean these specific technologies, I'm scared to do like an update to the T3 stack where, no, now it's this, because people use it to describe a specific thing that is out of my control. I'm at the point where I'm like in the process of doing a rebrand where I move off of T3 as my branding and let it just be the T3 stack, and I'm just Theo. Spent a lot of money on that Twitter handle.
I was going to say, is T3 a persona for you? Like, is that, if you think of, oh, T3, that's a different person than Theo?
No, I don't do that like persona thing. I to a fault, I am me. Online, offline, in videos, in person. I regularly get the feel like, wow, you are just that. Like, I'm not putting on a character. I'm just how I am. I'm a loud Boston asshole.
And you own it.
I don't pretend otherwise. Yeah, T3 Stack's been a weird journey, and there's definitely people who are confused right now. And I get it. I'm confused too about like what it is now and how I should brand it. But for now, it's the best way to start a Next.js application with the option to include a few other technologies that I think make a lot of sense. I'll often use Create T3 app, turn off all of the things it adds, and just use the app router version because it has better ESLint rules and a better environment variable management solution than what you would get from the Next template. And I just like that a lot. The one option, the first question asked is TypeScript or JavaScript. And if you pick JavaScript, you get an error, wrong answer, and it picks TypeScript instead.
Nice.
We've left that in now for like 2 years. And every couple of weeks, we'll get an issue like, hey, support JavaScript. And we're like, hey, no.
That's the right answer for sure.